Hi, Martin here. Today I'm going to show you how to work on your climate control panel right here. This is for a 99 to 04 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and if you've noticed on yours that at night you can't see some of these knobs, well, there's a number of bulbs back in behind here, and they burn out. I mean, this is an 04, 12 years old right now, 13 years old, and they stop working. Unfortunately, they are not a easy just pull out the old bulb and put a new one in. They are literally soldered into the electrical board that is in here. But if you can solder or have a soldering iron, you can probably handle this job. And I'm going to show you how to remove this the climate control panel, disassemble it, and then what we're going to try to do is I got some LEDs laying around, little LED strips. I'm going to put those in. And if you're able to get the hold of the bulbs, and there are people out there selling like a LED kit for around $16 to $20 for all the bulbs. You could also put those in as well. This video will cover basically how to, take this apart and replace those bulbs in the way I'm doing it, and it will also help you if you get the single LEDs that they're selling like on eBay and stuff, or even the replacement bulbs if you can get those. Alright, well, let's get started. Alright, one of the first things I'm going to do, just to make this a little easier, set the parking brake, and then be able to pull the shifter back just to give you a little bit more room. You can also do this same thing if you got four-wheel drive, pull that out of the way. Okay, it helps if you got one of these old plastic tools. Even a butter knife will work, and you'll need a Phillips screwdriver. And we're going to start by removing this lower panel right here, because we got to get to the screws that hold this control panel in. Okay, and you just need to pry it out just like that. I know I have an 04, and if you guys are really conscious about, or you know this isn't in an 04. This actually comes out of it like an 02 and earlier. I just happen to have this one in here, but they remove exactly the same. Actually, we don't even need to unplug that. You can just lay that right there, okay? Now, there's two screws down here, and then we need to remove the two that hold it up here. Now, on your factory head unit in here, that most of you probably have, all you have to do is the same thing as I did down below, is pry this out. Now, if you got a double din like I do, it is also going to pull the head unit out. Well, that's just the way it is. So, that's the removal of this bezel is exactly the same. I mean, if you have your stock one, right now you'd be able to remove the bezel, toss it up here on the dash, and you're done. On mine, the head unit is attached to the bezel. And this is a snug fit, by the way, folks. There we go. I hate doing this. Having to take that out. So this is definitely harder. In fact, I've got this head unit I got to deal with. Two screws on the top, two on the bottom. I'm just going to set that back in here for now. Get the other two removed. can see it wants to fall right out of here. Okay, you got two connectors up back here. Small tab right here on the side. Just need to push that in and pull. Small tab. There we go. Okay, now we get to go inside the garage and you take this apart, and I'll show you what we got to do next. Alright, you'll need a Torx style screwdriver here to remove the screws. This is either a T15 or 20. There's the 4 screws. Now, that point, come up here, pull these 2 knobs off. Might take a little effort. There we go. And you can pull the front face off. Go ahead and pull these 2 knobs off. Just be careful. Grab your circuit board firmly. You may as well remove these 2 buttons. There we go. You can also remove this your tinted lens here off of there as well. Okay. Now, to make it easier to work on, we're going to just remove this completely out of here. Grab a hold of this connection right there. Just carefully pull that off. Just like that. Now we can set this aside. Okay, now, if you're looking at this, here's like your bulbs right there. And they are just located around in there. Alright, so to find out, let's say you're going to replace all of them. Great. If you wanted to replace just the ones that are burnt out and you didn't know which ones are burnt out, okay? This is how I done it. On the back side here, like if you look at, you got a bulb right there. You flip it over, there you can see the soldering points right there. Okay. Now what I got me a 12-volt transformer here that I got laying around. DC, mind you, right? 12-volt DC. I've cut the end off of it. Now it doesn't matter, in this case, which end is negative or positive. All we want to do is find out which bulbs work and which ones don't. Remember, you got power here. You got to be careful. Do not short nothing out here. So what I'm going to do is touch one to one side of that electrode, one to the other. And there you go. You can actually see the ones there on the far side are working. The ones right here on this side are not. So we already know that these are not working right here. Okay, I've got my soldering iron here. And I'm grabbing hold of the bulb on this side. Okay, you can heat that one up. And what I'm doing is putting some pressure on the bulb on the other side. There, I can feel it moving. You see how I was able to pull on that wire a little bit right there. I'm just going to rock it back and forth. A lot of times you can, just by putting pressure on it, you'll actually break the solder even before you get heat on it and pull the wire out, or pull the bulb out, I should say. Alright, place pressure on the bulb on one side. Then put the heat on the side that you're putting pressure on. There. And it'll break the solder loose. There it goes. Alright. I've got these three removed, because I know those were out. Now one thing I want to show you what I did. If you look closely, you see the little red mark by each one of these bulbs. That I put that on there. What I did is I took a voltmeter, I plugged this back into the dash, turned it on, and took a voltmeter. I wanted to see which side is positive on each one of these. As you can see, it flips sides. And that's not a big deal if you're just replacing this with a regular bulb, but if you're putting an LED bulb in here, it's going to make a difference because they are polarity sensitive. You got to know which side is positive and negative. So I just simply put a red dot on the side that is positive. Now what I got here are these LED strips that you can buy, 10 millimeters wide. These are white, and I mean you can get a whole strip of these, like 16 feet long, for like less than $10. Look on eBay and they got them. They got an adhesive back to them, and you can cut them into 3 LED section. So what I'm going to do is I've taken some Cat 6 wire or data wire. You can use Cat 5, you can use Cat 3, and this has got a nice small, gauge wire, 23 or 24 gauge. And I'm going to solder them into these locations, put the dark side to negative, the light side to positive. Okay? And then solder that end to these, where I lay this LED strip. Because we got 3 bulbs laying right, 1, 2, 3, right there. So if we took these 3, put them about right there, that's going to take care of those 3 bulbs right there. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side. We'll put it right in there. Then I'm going to try to figure out what we're going to do for 1, 2, and 3 here. And actually we got a 4th one down here. We'll go from there. Okay, I got a couple wires soldered in. I got to be honest with you, I had a pretty hard time with it. And it's because these holes are filled with solder. Even though I'd put heat on them, I could not get them to clear out. And had a hard time pushing the wire through that pinhole. So right now I got one on the positive here, I got a negative one put in here, then got it in there, but I'm not real happy with it. And technically we could make all the connections to those 2 wires, wherever we put the LEDs, and it would work. We don't need to hook up to every one of these if we're going to put a little strip of 3 in here. We just got to hook up to one of these, one positive and one negative, and it will work. Okay, I'll show you what I got so far. I mean, you cut these LED strips, you got to cut them with 3 LEDs long. You see the copper on each end. You cut anywhere in between, none of the 3 will work. So with this system, you got to have at least 3 LEDs. So to replace the 1 bulb up there, I've got the 3 coming down, and just remember there's a bulb that goes right there. So we're going to eliminate that 1 bulb, because this bulb right here is going to cover this knob, illuminate this knob. And we're going to do the exact same thing over here, where we had a bulb there. You have that LED, and this one coming down will illuminate this one, okay? And of course these 3 LEDs are going to take care of the 3 bulbs that were right there. Alright, I've got all the LEDs soldered in. and placed, you know, where I feel they'll work all right. You know, this little loop, if that looks hokey to you, oh well. I mean, you're not going to see that. And yes, it's just one wire coming off of there, going to the positive side. I got the negative coming off of this one. You know, it doesn't matter. As long as the whole connection is being made, you're getting a positive and negative to each one of these LEDs. It doesn't matter what end it's coming from. It'll work. Okay, I'm going to plug this in and just make sure it works before I assemble the whole thing all back together again. Okay, now I just got it kind of back together. It's just sitting in here. I just went ahead and put the two knobs back on and then plug the two connectors back in. Now, when I turn this on, it's probably going to look ridiculously bright. Which it does, right? I mean, this is considerably brighter than factory. Now when you cover that up, I mean, you definitely notice, you can see the illumination now on all these here. The knobs down here, the blue and the red part are lit up very bright. Well, for one, I mean, we can tell that all the LEDs that I've installed here are working. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this back together since I know it works, and we'll see what the end result looks like. Okay, got the two knobs are back in place, the board's in there. Now we need the lens. The lens will only go in one way. It's got these like little cutouts. AC button. You got your recirc button. Now the original one I had, I don't know if you noticed it before. Yeah, right there. It is trashed. And I've seen that on a few of them. This particular one, for whatever reason. I got this one out of another one. That in there, and then we got our defrost button. Take your defrost button. It only goes in there one way, just like so. Kind of hold it in place. There we go. Take these two knobs. Go ahead and put those back on. Those also only go on one way. Okay. Flip this over and replace the 4 screws. All right. We're ready to put it back in, okay? All right, after putting it in, sure enough, I changed my mind and came up with a little revision. If you see how I got this tilted on its side, I did a strip of 6 LEDs. So this one here is going to take care of the high, auto, low, and then the low to high range coming around. And this bottom LED is going to cast the light down here on your auto defrost for the mirrors and stuff. And then we got a strip here that's going to cast the light for this knob and your AC, and the strip over here for the recirculation and the heater control over here. Then I did a little loop of 6 LEDs and used the self-adhesive kind of so it sticks back here. So it casts around this way, because this one's got a bigger range. It's got to go all the way from auto. You know, it's doing like a 270 degree around. So I got to cast the light. And then this light on both knobs will cast up into this knob to illuminate these. A little bit simpler, a little cleaner looking. We'll give that a try. Now, of course, install is just reverse to how you took it out. Get the 2 electrical connections plugged back in the back. Install that like so. Okay, I'm going to start with my 2 low screws, get those in, snap that into place, and then work on those 2 top ones. Alright, after getting it all installed, here's with the dome lights on. There they are, illuminated. Dome light off. Looks pretty cool. Well, it turned out pretty cool. Relatively inexpensive because I just had those LEDs laying around. A little bit of work, definitely, but I like the end result. So please subscribe, and thanks for watching.